Hi friends, and welcome to my new cooking show. Just kidding. But after I mentioned making apple chips in a couple of my recent vlogs, I got so many requests for y'all for me to show you how I make them. So I still have some apples left that I got free at work, and if you can see, they're starting to get just a little soft and wrinkly, and you know, they're not like the best to like have that nice crisp when you bite into them. So I'm going to make these into apple chips with you today. And you certainly don't want to waste these. While they're a little bit soft, a little bit wrinkled, they're certainly still good. And even if they won't be as satisfying to crunch into, I don't want to throw them away. So what you are going to need is apples, a knife, a couple of baking sheets, and if you want to get real fancy, a couple of cookie racks. You don't need these. I've done this with and without. Just if you have the apples up just a little bit like this on the cookie rack, then it helps the air circulate and dry them out a little bit better. And also some parchment paper. Now, I like to make apple chips completely plain, i.e. one ingredient apple chips, but you can add some cinnamon sugar or something if you want. All right, let me show you how I do it. First off, get your cutting board and your knife and your parchment paper. I'm just going to cut enough to cover the little area here and place it down over the cooling rack. Do the same on this. And you don't need any spray or anything like that. And then I'm just going to set these to the side. Next up, let's cut our apples. You don't want them to be too thick or too thin. I've made this mistake before. If you make them too thin, they stick to the paper. If you make them too thick, they won't dry out completely, and you'll have kind of like a mushy type situation. So it'll just take a little bit of practice. But what you want is probably like that. And don't worry if you get them just a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner. It's no big deal. Also, I used to think that you needed like a mandolin or something fancy for this, but you really don't. You just need a sharp knife and a steady hand. And what I do is I actually just cut all the way through the apple. And don't worry if you screw up a couple times. Those are going to taste just as good as the full ones. But you do want to try to get an even all the way through. This is just a little too thick, but it'll be fine. This one's perfect. So you can see kind of all the way through. This will dry up really, really nicely. So. Just arrange them. Now that I have all of my apples done, actually this is only 3 apples, I have 2 left, so I'll have to do another set, but I'm going to put them into my oven that I have preheated to 225 degrees for an hour and a half, and then I'm going to take them out, flip them over, and bake them for another hour. So low and slow is how you want to do this. Ready to go? The first alarm went off. It's been an hour, so I'm going to check on them. Ooh, looky, looky. They're looking pretty good. Okay, so they're starting to dry out just a little bit. They're still, like this one's still pretty moist, but nothing is burning, and it looks like the really thin ones are getting quite crispy. All right, now I'm gonna put them in for another half an hour on this side, and then I'll flip them. Alarm has gone off. They've been in for an hour and a half, and they are looking fantastic. Now, I'm just going to gently flip them. Now you can use a tool or something, but I just kind of use my hands. They're not hot. Sample a few. I also switched which level they were on, so the one that was on the top level is now on the bottom, bottom on the top, and they're gonna go in for one more hour. It's time. Let's see how they came out. Alright. I think, turn the oven off. These are just about perfect. They've started to brown just a little bit. You don't want them to burn, so you want them to brown. Can you hear the crunch? Ooh, that's awesome. Okay, so, and they shouldn't be stuck at all. They aren't. So that was about the perfect amount of time, and I'm just going to let them sit out and cool, and then I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag. They should last for about a week. So good. Apple chips are too expensive. Just make them yourself. It's easy. So 3 apples made about this many chips, and this many chips would cost you about $4 or $5 if you had bought them. So it was incredibly easy. As you saw, it didn't take, I mean, it took time, but I was doing it while I was doing other stuff around my house. I was cleaning, I was filming Budget Girl videos, and these, one ingredient, and they were a free ingredient for me, super easy to do. If you added cinnamon or sugar to them, I would love to know how that turned out. Let me know. Or if you try these yourself, let me know. Just real simple, $2.25, hour and a half on one side, hour on the other. Delicious, pretty healthy snack.